everybody. Welcome back to my channel. If you're one of my subscribers, then thank you for being subscribed and it's good to see you again. So today I'm going to be reading some crazy Star Stable stories and confessions. So let's just get right into it, I guess. I'll share some of my own experiences at the end of this video. Okay, the first one says, I always avoided champs because I couldn't get over my social anxiety. One day, on a whim, I decided to join a casual club, and the members I was socializing with urged me to tag along with them to the next champ. So we're all hanging out, chatting, while I'm paying attention to the countdown at the top of the screen. Everyone is lined up right at the start line. The countdown hits, and I start booking it, of course. Immediately, I get a notification that I failed/left the champ. I had no clue that the first countdown was just to the end of registration, and there were more steps to the process before the start of the race. The chat filled with stuff like, no, and what happened? I was so embarrassed, I immediately logged out and switched servers. And that probably wasn't even the first time I server hopped out of cringe. It took a good while before I felt like trying champs again. Eventually I got over it though, and I do actually like them now. That story is actually hilarious. As I was reading it, I could just imagine, like, you just imagine you just standing there at the start line, and as soon as, like, the initial countdown ends, you just go. And then you just left, like, what? Why did I get kicked out as everybody's racing past you? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. They're probably like, the club was probably like, why is this person, why did they just run? Why did they leave? That's such a funny, honest mistake that anyone can make. That was their first championship story, by the way. Okay, let's read the next one. Okay. It says, my friend and I were trying to roleplay as magic horses in the woods by Starshine Ranch, and someone kept running around us and bothering us. We told them we were role-playing and wanted to be left alone, but they kept bothering us and asking to join and saying, it's a free-range game. I can run wherever I want. And I said, yes, you can, but can you please leave us alone? We're role-playing and don't want to be bothered. And this person kept saying over and over that it's a free-range game. They can run wherever they want. Yes, it is a free-range game, which is why you can go somewhere else. Eventually, my friend and I decided to run somewhere else, and this person decided to follow us to continue to pester us about role-playing. Eventually, we used the trailer to take us somewhere we agreed upon in our one-on-one chat, so that they couldn't bother us anymore. But like, if someone is asking you nicely not to bother them, why would you continue to bother them? Honestly, this story is kind of relatable. Like, this exact thing hasn't happened to me before, but I've seen so many things in Star Stable where people are just minding their own business and then someone will come up and like try to start, I don't know, join them or something, and then when they get rejected, then they become salty and just don't leave you alone. Honestly, Star Stable players can sometimes be super petty for some reason. But it's low-key entertaining. And if you get super annoyed with them, okay, here's one thing. Like, why wouldn't you just ignore them? Like, not just like ignore them, but like actually click their profile and click ignore. So that way their chat and they like disappear. That's what happened to one of my friends in Star Stable one time. She was like, "Oh my gosh, this person is bullying me. They won't stop." And I'm like, "But why are you continuing to interact with this person then? Why don't you just block them?" I never understood that, but I mean, okay, to each their own, I suppose. Okay, the next story is pretty short, but it's funny. Says, I was in the lead in the Silverglade Championship, but was still pretty new to it. And I thought I was taking a shortcut, but it wasn't. I was able to catch it right away and circle back around, but like half the players were following me and were instantly disqualified for going through the checkpoint the wrong way. I was so embarrassed. That actually, that is so, sounds so funny. If that was me, I mean, I guess obviously I'd be a little bit embarrassed, but I think that was hilarious that everybody decided to follow me and got disqualified. That's actually so funny. That's another one of those stories where you can just, as you're reading it, the picture just comes to your mind. And you can just, yeah, you can see it in your head. That's just so funny. Silverglade Champ, I wonder where, like, what shortcut they were trying to take. Um, okay. Here's the next story. This was so recent this was so recent too, and embarrassing. I'm a full-on adult and never really used chat except for the occasional flat show. I had saved up a handful of jars of wisdom and wanted to be nice and share the love. Put it in the chat to meet me in Valedale and I'll share. Had some people being mean, saying no one was going to go to Valedale for jars of wisdom. I just ignored them, and one person shows up. I mosey up next to them and proceed to use all my jars of wisdom without adding them to a group. They came to Valedale and watched me use all the jars of wisdom I said I'd share. I was mortified. I logged off and switched servers. Oh, jeez. That's another honest mistake one, but it's so good. Oh my gosh. That's so funny. It's an accident, so like, I mean, I still feel bad, but it's an accident. That's so funny though. If you, I mean, if you don't know what jars of wisdom are, they basically horse XP, and you can share the horse XP with other players as well if you use the jar of wisdom while you're in a group with them. But honestly, I would be confused too, I'm not gonna lie. Because the first time that I read about the like sharing jars of wisdom thing, I also thought you just had to be next to other people. I didn't know you had to be in a group with them either. So honestly, I think it's a pretty understandable mistake to make, unless you're like, because that's how I definitely understood it the first time I read the instructions. So those were all of the stories just from online. I have a few of my own stories though, which I will tell you. We will start with we'll start with a tame one. I have to preface this one with a little bit of background. So, when I was younger, when I was maybe like I think I was 11 or 12 years old, I had this was a long time ago. I was in a club, and oh my gosh, I loved this club. We were so active. We had so much fun together. There was a lot of us. It was a dressage club, and I was like best friends with several of the members, and they were my first experience of having like online friendships, and honestly, the only real experiences I've had with online friendships since then were just, I mean, no, I haven't had any other like online friendships like that since. So I was in this club, And there was one one of them that I was best friends with was named Winter, and then one of them was named Jack. And so that's to preface this story. Fast forward several years later, I see Winter online and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't like talked to her in forever. I should say hi." And so I chatted with her for a little bit, caught up on what we were doing in life and stuff. And I asked about my other two friends, but I asked about Jack. But here's the thing. It had been so long that I had forgotten his name, and so I call him Jasper. I don't know where that came from. Maybe my brain just went to Jasper's farm and it was like, "Oh yeah, Jasper's a familiar name. That's probably who it was." And so I called him Jasper, and she's like, "Do you mean Jack?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes. I can't believe I forgot his name. That's literally so embarrassing." And it was kind of sad too, because I'm like, how could I forget his name? But that's the end of that story. I just mixed up his name, which isn't honestly, it's not even really embarrassing. It's just more of like, I don't even know how that happened. I will probably remember his real name instead of the mixed up one now forever because of that story. Okay, I have, let's see. Which story should I tell next? I have two more. I guess I'll I'll tell another club story. Well, they're all club stories actually. I guess a lot of stuff just happens in clubs. um, so this was also when I was really young. I think this was maybe even before that previous club that I talked about in the last story. But it was called, this was on Nightstar, which is a very popular server. It was my home server. I do not play on Nightstar anymore. It is too packed for me. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. The club I was in was called Alpha Witches Circle. And it was such a weird dynamic. I didn't even think about it. But there was like, you had to call the club leader, like, there were your mom or like your dad or something. And like, there were like different roles you could be, like sibling, or like, I think someone was a fish. I don't, I don't even remember. This was so long ago. But I don't remember what happened exactly because, again, this was many years ago. But I got into some sort of altercation with one of the girls. I don't think I wasn't doing anything like to be mean on purpose, but I think I just like accidentally called her the wrong name, or I didn't want to call her title or something like that. I don't exactly remember, but because of that, um, the they kicked me out of the club, and so I was like, oh my gosh, that's so annoying, but whatever. And so I left, and I was training in Moreland, and then they found me, the club leaders. They tracked me down, added me to a group, and started like trying to make me apologize and all this stuff. And I hadn't done anything wrong, to my knowledge, anyways. And so I was just so over it. I was like, oh my gosh, these people are insane. And so I was just, I was so done. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And so I left the group, and they kept on trying to find me and make me apologize. And it was kind of scary. I'm like, how are they finding me? Like, it was interesting. So that club was just weird. Weird vibes all around. Glad I left, and I don't, it put a bad taste in my mouth. Let's just say that. I've only had like two good clubs, I think, in my whole entire Star Stable experience. There's been some that have been like okay, but only two that I really liked being in. Okay, this third story is also a club story. Um, so I wanted to join this club. The reason I wanted to join is because it was like one of the most popular clubs on the server. And so I wanted to join so I could be cool, as one does. But it was Discord only club. And I was like, dang, to get in I have to have Discord? I'm not allowed to have Discord because I was too young and my parents didn't want me to have it. Or I was too scared to ask them or something. And so I was like, I'll just be sneaky. And so I created a Discord account under my friend's email so that way my parents wouldn't know about it. Which is like, I should not have done that. But yeah, I did. And so I got in the club. It was kind of fun, but it was like, was it worth it for all the stress that it caused me? Probably not. And all the guilt that I had from doing that. But there was one time when I got on a call with a few of them, and I was so scared. This was when nobody was home, and I did not want to talk. I was too shy, and and so I was just sitting there listening, and they're like, "Come on, your voice is fine." And I'm just like typing. I'm like, "No, I'm so scared. I don't want to talk." And I finally got the courage, I guess you could say, to unmute myself for like 30 seconds, and I was scared to talk. And so I was just sitting there, like completely silent. And I was so scared or nervous that I was like, felt like I needed to laugh. Like, it was kind of funny. And so I was trying to hold in my laugh because I didn't want them to hear me. And so I was kind of laughing silently, but I was trying so hard to keep my laugh in that it ended up squeaking out really loud. And then I breathed in so weird. I sounded like a donkey. Here, let me see if I can replicate the noise. Let's see. It was kind of like I was laughing silently. I was like, and then I went, "Ah!" Yeah, no, that was actually exactly the sound I made. That was a very good recreation. And it was very embarrassing. And so, needless to say, I never did that again. Left the club. Was an honest child from that point forward, for the most part. And yeah, those are all of the stories that I had. And I hope you thought they were interesting. Honestly, I would love maybe someday when I have, or if I have more subscribers, I can ask you guys like your embarrassing stories or your crazy stories. Actually, hey, if you're subscribed and you have any stories that you want me to read, or, yeah, well, if you have any stories you want to share, feel free to share them and I will read them. And maybe, maybe I'll read them in a train with me too. If you want to share them, be aware that they could be read in a video, maybe. But I'm probably gonna do one more training video to max this horse sometime, I don't know, in the future. But thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope your day is good, and I hope it's even better from this point forward. And yeah, I will see you guys later. Bye bye.